Hello, One Great Earth. My name is Dan. I hope you are doing well today. Apologize a little bit late. Was having connection issues early on in this stream. I had to wait for my connection to stabilize after changing a few things. Frantic digging at scene of deadly Ethiopia landslides. They have no heavy machinery. They're using their bare hands and shovels and sticks, branches. "229 people whose bodies have been found so far. At least 229 people dead in Ethiopia after heavy rain causes mudslides. What happened here, they had a mudslide the other day. And while people were trying to search and rescue, another mudslide occurred on the first responders, causing even more people to be swept up into the mudslide. This is just 229 people found. This is the worst mudslide in Ethiopian history, I imagine. It is massive. In the Gofa zone, Ethiopia. At least 229 people have died in mudslides after heavy rain in southwestern Ethiopia, in the deadliest such disaster recorded in the Horn of Africa country. Most of the victims were rescue workers buried in a mudslide on Monday morning as they searched the steep terrain for survivors of another mudslide the previous day. This tragedy. Very tragic. There are children who are hugging corpses, having lost their entire family, including mother, father, brother, and sister, due to the accident. Ethiopia and other Eastern African countries have become increasingly vulnerable to the climate crisis, with the region experiencing changing onsets and durations of dry and wet seasons. Last November, unusually heavy rainfall in southern and eastern Ethiopia killed dozens of people and displaced hundreds of thousands. A hydrothermal explosion sends Yellowstone visitors running. I'm sure you've probably seen the video of this so far. It's Biscuit Basin and Yellowstone National Park had a massive hydrothermal explosion that did some damage to the area of the park. You can see the boardwalks had some damage to them as the people fled the scene as quickly as possible. park said there were no reports of injuries, though the boardwalk was damaged. A Park Service photo showed a walkway covered with gray and black debris and with fencing torn apart. Picture right here. It was quite an explosion.
Stunning scenes in Yellowstone National Park today. A thermal pool explodes right in front of dozens of onlookers.
Yeah, it happened just north of Old Faithful Geyser in an area called Biscuit Basin. Take a look at this video from Plata March. She was on the boardwalk near the Black Diamond Pool with her family when the explosion happened around 9:45. Sent people running in each direction as large rocks and other debris came pouring down.
No injuries were reported, but the boardwalk took heavy damage and it's been closed by the Park Service. Officials say hydrothermal explosions are not common but unexpected in the area. Another of a similar size happened in 2009 in the Biscuit Basin area. Geologists also stress this was not a sign of any volcanic activity, which remains at normal background levels.
Everybody wants to move out of here. Hey. Shaking.
The park said the explosion didn't reflect a change in the region's volcanic system, because this is what happens when water turns to steam. It needs more space, causing an explosion.
Everything is destroyed. Oh my God. Oh my God. Shit! Run! Run! Shit! Run! She ran to the other side. Holy shit. Father. Father. Now let me go first so I can make this walk right.
wants to move out of your room. Really, really dangerous. Feel free to grab my hand. Hey, Nate. Keep moving. Unless there's big holes. Follow that guy.
Boardwalk severely damaged.
Shaking. Everything is destroyed. Oh my god. Oh my god. Keep going, keep going. Shit. Holy shit. We are getting out of here.
Here we are looking at a massive amount of smoke. Result of Canadian wildfires that are currently burning. All this gray here, all of that smoke. Wildfires burning throughout Canada. Massive amounts of smoke. Now this is our cloud coverage right here. We know the smoke's here. $640. What? What? Some very severe air quality that is occurring throughout Canada right now. Smoke is all over the place now. This is Ollie. He is a leopard gecko. About 4 years old. She's on my head. Her name's Ollie. I wonder how long I can keep her on my head like this. She's adorable. Mystery oxygen source. Bewildering scientist. A chemical reaction could be producing oxygen by splitting water molecules, but its source of energy remains unknown. This is from nature.com, Nature Journal. A source of dark oxygen has been discovered on the seafloor. Do you see this up here? Something is pumping out large amounts of oxygen at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean at depths where total lack of sunlight makes photosynthesis impossible. The phenomenon was discovered in a region strewn with ancient plum-sized formations called polymetallic nodules, which could play a part in the oxygen production by catalyzing splitting of water molecules, researchers suspect. The findings are published in Nature Geoscience. We have another source of oxygen on the planet other than photosynthesis. The finding could also have implications for understanding how life began, he says, as well for the possible impact of deep sea mining in the region. The observation is fascinating, says Donald Canfield, a biogeochemist at the University of Southern Denmark in Odense. But I find it frustrating because it raises a lot of questions and not many answers. Not very many answers. The amounts of oxygen produced are not small. The gas in the chambers reaches concentrations higher than those seen in algae-rich surface waters, Sweetman says. None of the other regions Sweetman has surveyed contained polymetallic nodules, suggesting that these rocks have an important role in the production of this dark oxygen. Electric potential. But the nodules could serve as catalysts, enabling the splitting of water and the formation of molecular oxygen. Researchers measured voltages across the surface of nodules and found voltage differences of up to 0.95 volts. This is not quite the 1.5 volts needed to split a water molecule, but in principle, higher voltages could be produced in the same way that battery voltages could be doubled by connecting two batteries in a series. Sweetman says that before deep sea mining starts, researchers should map the areas where oxygen production is occurring. Otherwise, ecosystems that have become dependent on that oxygen could collapse if the nodules are removed. If there's oxygen being produced in large amounts, it's possibly going to be important for the animals that are living there. Ten migrants drowned in rushing river crossing Darien Gap in Panama. 10 migrants have drowned trying to cross a rushing river in Panama's Darien Gap that borders Colombia. Panama City. 10 migrants drowned trying to cross a rushing river in Panama's Darien Gap that borders Colombia and Manian authorities said Wednesday. The National Border Service said in a statement that the victims were swept away by the strong current and their bodies were later seen near the indigenous community of Querétaro. in the rainy season in Panama, making the numerous rivers that migrants have to cross more dangerous. Wildfire in Canada. Yeah, it's pretty fire. Pretty fire. Still on my head. A lot of smoke. This is my ollie. This is what I have on top of my head right now. This is my little dragon. See her tail, bumps, little dragon, a little bumps all across her leg, shedding on her feet a bit. Doesn't leopard geckos don't shed. In one piece, they shed in pieces, in sections, segments. Your toes here. Sometimes it's hard for her to get her shed off her toes altogether, so I usually will help her. I'll give her a bath. I'll let her swim around for a while. She doesn't quite understand swimming because, swimming isn't native. Because she struggles for a minute and realizes that she has to stay above water. She's like, get nervous sometimes because she only has to eat like once every few days sometimes. And her meals that she gets, they're Dubé roaches. They're pretty big. They're just big enough for her to put it in her mouth and chomp. I don't hand feed her. This is a big distinction, I think, from the leopard geckos that I've seen, is that people use tongs or tweezers or whatever, I can't remember what they're called, to hand feed the leopard gecko. I don't do that. I put the little Dubé roach in her cage live on its back so it kicks, and that kicking motion of the Dubé roaches gets her attention. And she attacks, she hunts, she stalks, chomps, and it's a big difference, I think, in the hunt, especially in a leopard gecko. Because if I were to feed her, hand feed her, she would be quite different. Surrounded by cats, and a leopard gecko is on my head. Living the dream. Bumpy. Right here. Right here, bumpy. You can feel her little bumps all over the place. I have a lizard on my head and a cat on my lap. Living the dream. He eats Dubé roaches. Your foot sitting up. Yosemite hiker slips on cables in Half Dome and falls to death during storm. Father says Grace Roloff, 20, lost footing about 3/4 into 400-foot cables descent and slid down mountain. God. A father-daughter hike that began with an Arizona college student checking off a bucket list item ended tragically when she was killed after falling down Yosemite's Half Dome earlier this month. Grace Roloff, 20-year-old hiker, and her father, Jonathan Roloff, were descending the cables at Yosemite's summit when she slipped and fell on July 13th, as reported by San Francisco Gate. The 14 to 16-mile round-trip hike to Half Dome is known for its difficulty and requires hikers to obtain permits in advance. Jonathan Roloff recounted their final moments at the summit, where they admired the panoramic view and shared words of gratitude before beginning their descent. A black cloud was rolling in like gangbusters. We have to get down now because we can't be up here with any rain. It rolled in literally out of nowhere. During their descent, Grace slipped on a slick section of a rock. She was between the wooden blocks and slipped to the ground, and it just happened very fast. She slid down the side of the mountain. Tragic. Roloff said it took 3 hours for rescuers to arrive with a helicopter, as he and a park ranger waited under harsh winds. He said rescue parkers told him Grace had died and the park ranger accompanied the grieving father down the mountain. I know it's her job, but the park ranger went way above and beyond to make a human connection with me. She sustained a severe head fracture and probably died during the fall, the coroner told her father. Very tragic. Florida grasshopper sparrow Scientists hail resurgence of endangered bird. Sparrows were taken in captivity after numbers dwindled, and this week experts released 1,000th bird back into the wild. Scientists in Florida are hailing the landmark release this week of a tiny bird only 5 inches tall as an oversized success in their fight to save a critically endangered species. Numbers of the Florida grasshopper sparrow, seen only in prairies and central regions of the state, dwindled so severely by 2015, mostly through habitat loss, that authorities took the decision of removing remaining breeding pairs into captivity. Their wager was that a controlled repopulation program would be more successful than leaving the birds to their own devices. On Tuesday, their gamble was rewarded. Partners joined the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, releasing in the wild the 1,000th bird bred under controlled conditions, adding to an increasingly stable population that researchers believe has turned the tide towards the species' survival. There's not much prairie left for these birds. Even though they're in captivity being bred, their habitat loss is too great. Where else they're going to go? It's just going to keep happening. It's a vicious cycle. Fireworks sparked Riverside brush fire that destroyed 6 homes, officials say. Riverside, California. Brush fire destroyed at least 6 homes in the Riverside neighborhood was sparked by fireworks. During a news conference, Loch Dawson, camera footage shows the suspects fleeing the area and a vehicle of interest is being reviewed by investigators. This is called the Hawarden Fire. (527 acres with 20% containment. Thank you for joining me today. If you haven't already, please click that follow button on Twitch, where I am live. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching the after replay, where I upload the video to YouTube. Riverside hit 102 degrees on Sunday amid a heat wave largely focused on the interior of the state. Temperatures rising again in the southwest. A lot of triple digits. Apologize, this hasn't been Senegal Army contained boat carrying 200 migrants. Not just when migrants die that we cover them here. Migrants make all kinds of journeys. Newton. All right. I thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. I'm going to call the stream here. I do hope you are well. I do hope this video finds you well. Please, if you haven't already, like the video or click follow on Twitch. Thank you once again. Please take care.